Well, I'm back from the tree stand. I sat out there from 10 o'clock this morning until 5 o'clock. I did not see anything. But back here at the cabin, I'm just kind of bringing you guys along if you want to follow my week's hunt here. I've got the fire going finally. While I was sitting in the tree, we got 3 inches of snow. So I'm frozen right to the bones. I have a big pair of mitts, military mitts, and I call it a 2-hand warmer day. I slid 2 hand warmers down in each one of those mitts. I put one in at first, but after an hour or so, it just wasn't going to cut it. So then I slipped in another one. So my hands were toasty warm. Which that's really important when you're a deer hunter, is keep your hands toasty warm. Because if your hands are cold, you can't squeeze the trigger. So I got some fish chowder that I made this week. I just put that on top of the wood stove. So anybody, I've still got plenty. I put an invite out there on the live stream a couple days ago. Chuck, you still haven't showed up. I hope you haven't broke down anywhere. I know it's a long haul between here and Ohio or Pennsylvania. I can't quite remember exactly. I think you said you live in Ohio. But chowder's on. About 6 o'clock, it's frozen solid. I had it on the floor by my back door since I made it. And it's been about 20 degrees here for the last, I'd say, 48 hours. So I just tried to stir it with a spoon when I put it on the stove, and it is frozen solid. So it might take an hour to thaw that out gently. You know, we don't want to boil it, and we don't want to burn it. But I have a thermos of coffee here, so left over from the tree stand. I got a couple of sandwiches left over too. I made sandwiches, didn't eat them, so I think I'm going to have fish chowder and a sandwich alongside of that thing tonight. So, but Mr. Big Buck, he didn't show up. It was a good night for it though, other than the snow. But it snowed like the dickens from about, I'd say, 11 o'clock until 2:30, 2:45. And then it was just a light snow. But we ended up with 3 inches of snow easily. And but then it calmed right down once the snow stopped. There was no wind, there was no nothing. So I was really sitting on the edge of my seat because that's usually been a pretty good time for me, either leading up to a snowstorm or rain or whatever. And then I guess we've got a warm front coming through next week, so that could change things. That could make things a little bit better. Who knows? Anytime the weather is turning, I have pretty good luck when we have the weather turning. Whether it's going into it, I have my best luck after 2 or 3 days of foul weather, and then I've shot a lot of deer at that point in time, but we'll see. But I was looking forward to getting back here to this cabin, let me tell you. 20 degrees out there and it's snowing. I am frozen. So I put a big load of wood in there tonight. This place will be hopping here in a little while. You probably can hear it crackling. I heat the place with a one of them old schoolhouse wood stoves. So they make a lot of noise, a lot of racket. It's kind of like sitting next to a campfire outside because they're not efficient at all. But they throw a lot of heat, and they throw a lot of heat fast. It probably It was probably only about 30 degrees in this cabin. I was trying to see the thermometer, but a little too dark over in that corner. Once the fire dies down, it doesn't take long for the cabin to cool down. But I've got a little light going here in front, and this seems to be working out pretty good. I can see the amber of the gas lights behind me, so I don't know, cabin might look like a mess behind me. I don't know. This is hunting week. Actually, more than that. I've already been here a week and a half, and I'm gonna stay up here another week and a half, at least. I'm not exactly sure when I'm going home. Before I left, I ate. You saw my breakfast there, big breakfast. I had sausage and eggs, and it's a good thing because I needed it. But I had made a couple extra sausage and left them in the pan. Totally forgot. I planned on bringing them out because pork like that usually gives you some high calories and will help your body heat when you're sitting in a tree like that. Big dummy, I walked off and left them right in the frying pan. But, well, we'll see. I haven't checked my game cameras. I probably won't check them until Sunday. I don't, other than making plans for next year, I don't really see how the game cameras can help you out once you're in the middle of the season. Other than maybe give you, like I got a choice to set on a game camera out in front of the cabin. It must be a half a mile from here. We'll see. I'm going to check that on Sunday. That's a really good run, so hopefully something that comes through. I checked it last Sunday and only 2 does had been through, so nothing I was going to run down there and set on that ground blind for until we get some more action of hopefully some bucks coming through. I'm setting it right now what I consider my very best tree stand, so we'll see. Next week is muzzle loading. And I've been here, well, like I said this morning, by the time I'm done here, I'll be here for almost a month, and I haven't seen another person. But if it warms up, I might have to make a trip to town to get some ice from my cooler. We'll see. Right now I got ice and all that, and I actually put a bunch of food outside to refreeze. I don't know if you all remember, I was a year ago plus, I was working on an old camper refrigerator that I was hoping, a gas refrigerator that I was hoping to get working. Well, it was too far gone. I tried and couldn't get it to go. But what I'm using it for now is in the wintertime. I set it up out on the back deck where I normally would do my cooking in the summertime, and I can store fish in there. I put my meat out there, stuff like that, so it'll stay frozen in the wintertime. When I come up for the 2-3 months sometimes in the winter, it'll stay frozen right out on the back deck. So when I need it, I go out and thaw it out. So that's where I put my food last night. The stuff that's starting to thaw out here inside the cabin. So it'll freeze back up and stay good for me because I got 2 more weeks and I don't want to go grocery shopping. This place is loaded. You could stay here, probably you could stay here for 3 months. Full of dry goods, stuff like that, canned goods. The canned goods I'll have to truck home when I go home this coming trip. Then bring them up as I need them, but they're in coolers and they keep pretty good, but they'll freeze up if I leave them here through the winter time. So tomorrow's plan: get up, have a hearty breakfast, good cup of coffee. Tomorrow's Thanksgiving, but I'm going to be here at the cabin, so I will be deer hunting. I'll probably be sitting right out in my tree stand again. I don't know exactly. I think they're calling for a little bit of snow in the morning. That's what I heard on the radio anyways. And I'm not sure if it's going to clear off in the afternoon or not. It would be nice if I didn't freeze to death as much as I did today out there, I'll tell you. You know, deer hunting's a lot of fun, except for when you're sitting there shivering. But you can only wear so many clothes. You know, when you go ice fishing, you can put on a lot more clothes. But the problem with a lot of clothes in the winter, in deer season, is it's hard to hold the gun. You know, your gun, when you put on a big bulky coat, and you know, 2 or 3, you know, I wore long johns, this shirt, and I have a good winter coat that I wear, but it's it gets to the point where it's pretty difficult to hold your rifle the way you like to. And that's one of them other things, you know, that's something that, you know, when you're practicing, is keep that in mind, because it's a whole different ball of wax when you're all bundled up, you know, trying to stay warm in a tree stand up here. So practice with your winter clothes, and it'll show you what I'm talking about anyways. But I felt pretty good today after all that work yesterday. I'll tell you, I thought I'd kind of be a little tuckered, but I must have got a good night's sleep. I sleep like a baby here at this cabin. There's just plain no noise at night, no lights. It's dark as the ace of spades in here. Other than the beagle, and she sleeps like a rock anyways. I'm still pretty cold. Fire's going good though. Just takes a little while for it to get into my bones. About 1 o'clock. I was looking at the clock. About 1 o'clock, I was looking at the clock, and I'm thinking, my goodness, it's going to be a long afternoon when I'm sitting here as cold as I am. But my mother always said I didn't have sense to come in out of the cold. I believe her now. You know, some of the funny things you think about when you're out there in that tree stand, because you got nothing else to do. You know, sit there and just kind of keep an eye on the run, make sure nothing sneaks by, so you got plenty of time for your mind to wander. And today, while I was out there, I was thinking about some of the videos I put, and I know better, but I was sitting here with my tablet and last night, and I punched in the word bushcraft as a search, and what I was amazed at what I saw was not the amount of bushcraft, because there's all kinds of bushcraft on YouTube, but I was amazed at the how many gear reviews there were for a bushcraft knife. I'm gonna do a video sometime about knives. I just another one of them. I don't know where a hunting knife changed, or a good woods knife changed to being a $400 bushcraft knife, but all of these experts on knives, and a lot of them, you know, they're doing gear reviews and stuff like that on knives and stuff, and boy, I'm not sure if they've ever been off the hot top for their expertise. I just, you know, you can just tell how people talk and how they act and how they dress. You know, people that are really out there and trained in it, or spent a lifetime out in the bush, has a big difference in how you walk, talk, dress, everything else. And I was amazed at the YouTube experts on gear review of bushcraft knives. Most of them were pretty useless, as far as where I come from anyways. You know, for a good knife, especially a good all-around knife, it's a small one. A small knife is the one you use the most. You know, you can't skin a deer with a foot-long knife. You can't take care of a rabbit or porcupine or anything with a foot-long knife. So as far as feeding yourself, it's going to be pretty useless. You got yourself a knife that's the size of a sword. The only thing I can see it's good for is maybe splitting some firewood. They were using it to split firewood. But if I'm going to do that, I'm going to carry an axe or I'm going to carry a hatchet. It's definitely not going to be my knife. I need my knife more than I need it to chop firewood. You know, your knife is how you'll get your feather sticks and how you'll get your scrapings for your fire rod. The last thing I want to do is be beating the heck out of it as an axe on a piece of firewood. Save my knives for cutting up meat and feeding myself. Use a real tool for cutting firewood. It's either a saw or an axe, one of the two. It's not going to be my knife. That's for darn sure. And that's probably where I say that, you know, they aren't too far from the hot top. Because I can guarantee you that the woodsmen up here, outside of me, there's plenty of people up here like me. It's just everyday life. I can guarantee you they're not using their knife to chop up firewood. Save your knife for skinning deer and bear and everything else. Cleaning the fish. You know, you use a little 4-inch or 5-inch knife for most of your work. You know, taking care of a fish or taking care of, you know, other than these big fish I got up here, and then I do have some bigger knives for that. But that's all done back here at the cabin with a cutting board and a place to deal with a good-sized fish. That's my idea. Gear review. You gotta wonder how they became such an expert on gear review. Just rambling. That's something that was on my thought process today while I was sitting in a tree stand. Well, it's time to try to stir the fish chowder. Well, the fish chowder finally thawed out, piping hot. And I don't know if I told you what was in this fish chowder, but this isn't just any old fish chowder. I have 2 pounds of lake trout in there. I have 2 pounds of eel. I have 2 Maine lobsters and a can of baby clams and potatoes and onions. So I don't know what kind of fish chowder you'd call this. I don't even know if you could call it a seafood chowder because half of it came from fresh water and the other half came from salt water. So you choose, I suppose. But that eel is excellent in a chowder. The only thing you really want to do with it, you want to debone it and you want to skin it. And then, you know, that eel, like I said, there was a whole eel in there. That's 2 pounds. 2 pounds of eel meat tossed in the fish chowder. And the eel we catch right here in fresh water. Many as you want, no limits. It's just an excellent food source. But when the crap hits the fan, it's good to know how to do some different things. And that's one of them. Because in the wintertime, a fish chowder really hits the spot. Cabin's nice and warm now. I'm nice and warm, finally. So I'm going to finish this up and set myself in the easy chair. Probably read a few comments from today's video. Thank you very much. Today's Wednesday. Let me know if you like video like this. Let me know in the comments. I'll be able to tell from the views and all that stuff, but a little feedback would be great too. Just kind of sitting here talking. I've talked to so many of you now for so long that it really does feel like I'm sitting here talking to friends. Friends that I've never met. That's kind of funny, but we talk twice a week. So I'm going to finish my chowder, and I will probably see you tomorrow.